Hello, Cosmos girls. We had our first game. We had our first loss. Um, a lot of that I feel like is probably on me for not explaining the positions well enough. I thought we were reasonably matched. I actually thought we probably should have won that game. We just needed to learn some things about like how to hold position and things like that. We haven't had all of our people here yet, so I wanted to go over some things with you guys. And specifically, I wanted to go over some basics of where to be, what to do based on each position, and how we run practice. Also, a lot of soccer concepts are the same. I just want to make sure that we get our nomenclature, so what the terms that we use to describe things in line, so we all speak the same language. Okay, so with that said, I want to make sure you girls watch this video. So I want to motivate you girls to watch this and even watch it a few times. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say a player's name and then I'm going to say a song title throughout the video. And that player is then going to be responsible for telling that song title back to me. And if you can't identify it, I'll know you didn't do your homework and you're going to run a lap. That's the way it's going to be. And if you're injured or something like that, you don't have to run a lap. We'll make you do push-ups or sit-ups, and we'll make you do them for, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. So it'll behoove you to watch this, and it'll certainly behoove you to pay attention because I think if we do this, we all get on the same page. We'll be a force to be reckoned with. All right, so let's talk about basics. I'm just going to talk about just basics overall flow. This doesn't necessarily have to be. This is positionless, right? So what I'm going to say is this is our soccer field. We are going to be X's, so we'll be X's, and the other team will be O's, okay? And so just in general, this is where we are. This is our goal. When you're on defense, you're going to want to start to move the balls to the sidelines. Never cross, never across the goal. So if you're a keeper, you don't want to be throwing it right here unless it's an absolute sure option. If you're a defender, you don't want to kick across the goal because you're giving somebody an open shot. You always want to move to here. And likewise, when we're on offense, we're going to want to work the ball in this general direction. Okay, so this is just kind of a general rule of formation, I mean, so that's typically what we're looking for is if you're on defense, you're going to want to work to the sides of the corners. And there are some exceptions to this. I mean, we're playing on such a small field that if you're here on defense and you see an offensive player or a mid there, and you could punch it straight up the middle, do it. And we'll talk about some other aspects like through balls and things like that where you do just that. But in general, I'd like you guys to adhere to this kind of as a general rule. Uh, you know, kick it to the side, kick it to the corners here, kick it away from the goal when it's near your goal, and kick it towards the goal when you're on the offense. Okay, so that is, I would say, the first rule. Okay. Okay, so now that we kind of covered just some really general basics, I like to start off with some from a defender's perspective. So we're going to talk about defenders' perspectives, but it's actually really similar to how we work, uh, how the way all soccer positions work, really. But I'm going to start off with the defenders' positions. First off, I'm going to say two names and two song titles. So Ava, your song is Lucky Star. Izzy, your song title is Another One Bites the Dust. All right. All right. So let's talk about defenders. So I'm going to keep the same formations that we have there that we had in our game. Our formation that we had in the game, I'm not going to change it. It's so we're going to probably keep this the whole year until we can master it, and that looks something like this. It looks like a 1-3-2. Okay, so we're gonna have three mids, two defenders, and one keeper and one striker. Okay, so from a defender's perspective, I have two defenders, right? So I'm gonna have the defenders pretty much your area of responsibility is this entire. Oh, this isn't writing. Hold on. Oh, hold on. I'm getting some technical difficulties here. Okay. So your defender, your area of responsibility is this half. Okay, this half the field is where you stay on. Now, there's certain situations, if you girls get to the point where you guys can communicate to each other and say, hey, I have an open opportunity, nobody's here, I can drive through, you need to be telling everyone else. We need to have awareness of where everyone is on the field and go back and cover. But generally, right here. Okay. Okay, so on my defenders, I'm going to have two defenders, right? So I'm going to have a defender here, and I'm going to have a defender here. When we talk soccer, we talk areas of responsibility, right? And since I have two defenders here, I'm going to draw a line right down the middle here. And this defender's area of responsibility is here, and this defender's area of responsibility is right here. Now, if I have a offensive player who dribbles here, what ends up happening, what I'd like to see is this defender goes up and puts pressure. The term that we're going to use is pressure. We're going to put pressure on the person with the ball. This defender is going to slide over to cover. Now, when you guys stagger, when one person's up here and the other person comes across, the other defender comes across, now this defender, their area of responsibility is this entire field, okay? Because it's only half. If there's three defenders, both would switch over and they'd cover half. But while this person's putting pressure, you got to do that. And you guys got to talk to each other and say, I have, I got your back, okay? Covering or something. Let's just say, I got your back, okay? So when you come and cover, now what this player is going to have to do is this player is going to, since they're meeting the challenge, they can either get around their defender or they can, they might pass off. If they pass off, it depends who takes that person. If they pass off down here, maybe this person comes up here and this defender drops. Now this defender drops and has area of responsibility for the whole thing. Now, if they get around you, that's fine. I don't care if they get around you. I just want you to put pressure and you challenge. Now, if they get around you, the person who has your back needs to come cover and you need to hustle back to that center line. So hopefully that makes sense. Now, you all need to be talking, and realistically, if when you guys are doing this dance, just by you putting pressure as a defender on them, that should give your mids time. Now, when your mids have time, your mids should be coming back to give this player more support, right? So the ball switches, my mids might be out of position, my mids drop back, but you have to put pressure on the ball. If it's in your region, you have to put pressure on the ball, and this defender has to cover, and my mids need to drop. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Let me see. I'm going to do two more songs, and then I'm going to get into my mids. So my songs, Jackie is going to be Stronger, okay? And Izelle, Eye of the Tiger. All right, so let's clean this up and let's look at mids, okay? My mids areas of responsibility. Well, let's see if I can get this. Okay. My mids area of responsibility is goal box to goal box. That's your area of responsibility. And the exact same scenario that we were just talking about, to where areas of responsibility and splitting the field, you have two. You are on both offense and defense. Okay, so when you know what? Let's go back. Let's go back to defenders really quick. I'm going to go back to defenders. So on the defenders, if I'm here, another piece that I'm going to say. So, ah, hold on. All right, I'm not going to use this one. I'll use the mid ones. So another area of responsibility that the mids have, or that the defenders have. So you're on offense, right? You're also wanting to punch it up here. Again, going back to our drill on the basics, you don't want to, you're never going to want to pass in front of the goal. You're going to want to go this way, but you're also going to want to punch it up. And as short as our field is, you guys can pass it directly. You guys can set your forwards up a lot of times or set your mids up. So you're mainly on defense. You're trying to put the ball into play for the offensive players, and you're trying to get it out of here. Okay, and uh, in general, and this is what I'm going to say, in general, I am against just kicking it and not knowing where the ball's going to land. Okay, but as a defender, sometimes the pressure is too great, and you can do what's called clearing. Okay, and that means just getting it out of this hot zone. Okay, so if you're going to clear the ball, that means you're just going to kick it preferably out of bounds or preferably, this direction. But if you can't because the pressure is too great, you can clear the ball. Okay, and that's in these directions. Now that's only a defensive tactic, because I'd rather treat every possession, as gold. You don't want to just give it up to the other players. And a lot of times when you just boot it to another player, our players are out of position, and that exposes us. So that's the one situation that I think it's okay to clear the ball as a defender. Everyone else, I want controlled touches, and I want your touches to either be to somebody or to space. So, okay, so now let's do mids. Okay, mids. So we talked about goal box to goal box, right? So when you line up, you guys are going to be here, a center. Okay, now you guys play both offense and defense. Okay, so again, just like the defenders, your area of responsibility. Wow, I don't know what happened there. Oh. Your area of responsibility is right here. Okay. No, I don't know what that is. All right, so your area of responsibility is in this zone, but all the way to here. Okay. So if anyone has the ball in these areas, you guys challenge. So you'll go challenge. You'll meet them if they're on offense. You'll meet them and try to make them make a move. Okay. And again, you guys go back all the way. This is your area of responsibility. So just like the defenders, if let's say the ball's coming here on the left side, my left mid is going to come. My left mid is going to come up and challenge. My other two are going to slide over, and their area of responsibility is that entire part of the field. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay. I don't know what that was, but so hopefully that makes sense. So you guys slide over, and now your area of responsibility then becomes, so what that's going to look like here, I'm going to cut this over. Then their areas of responsibility are going to be, I'm going to have a mid here, a mid here, a mid here, challenging the ball. Okay. And this mid's area responsibility is here, and this mid's area responsibility is this whole side of the field. Well, this mid challenges. If they get around, you go to cover, you come and recover. So you go and stop, and you come and recover. Same area of responsibility. This person stays aware of this half of the field and everybody around it because they can beat you with a pass. So you have to be disciplined and you have to stay there. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. Now, that's from a defensive perspective for a mid. Okay. From an offensive perspective, um, offensive perspective, actually, let's do two more song titles. Okay. So I'm going to say MJ, never going to give you up. Zoe, safety dance. Okay. So from an offensive perspective, the mids are going to be doing a couple things. Now, we run a formation where there's a striker. Okay. So you guys are going to be trying to center the ball to the striker, or if you have the opportunity, go ahead and drive and take the shot. Any of you guys. But if one of you guys drives and takes a shot, somebody needs to stay back to help the defense. So at any given time, I only want, so let's say this, we'll use this left mid again. This left mid has the ball and they are dribbling. Okay. Then that same formation, you guys slide over to cover. Okay. And now this left mid is communicating with this center forward and talking about bouncing it back and forth and trying to get a goal, right? You guys can pass back and forth and get a goal. That's one thing. So that's the mid position in general. Okay? Now we're going to talk striker. Striker position, your job is easy. You're here, you're just trying to get goals. So you're going back and forth. You know, they might have their two defenders. You're trying to evade the defenders, and you're communicating to your mids to pass up. Now you can be an opportunistic defender, especially on this side of the court. I don't want my offensive players only to play offense. I want them to play both, right? But my preference is you try to keep the ball on that side here. And again, you guys are holding position, you're holding shape based on what we talked about, based in a formation like this, to where you might have a tussle with one of these guys. I'm hoping you get around them and get a shot on goal. If you are a big foot, like there's a number of girls who have big feet who can take a shot from outside the box and make a shot, I'm all for it. Meaning, you girls know who you are. You can take shots from out here. I'm fine with that. If you don't have a big foot or you're not crafty, I'm going to say dribble the ball straight into the goal. Get around the goalie, fake a shot and dribble it straight into the goal. Okay? So that is what I'm going to say. The one thing is offsides. We discussed offsides. I'm going to discuss it really quickly here. As the mid, on our game, we have this new line. It's an offsides line. So you can't be offsides if you're here. So let's say you're camped out here and both of these guys are way up here. You're not offsides here. Okay? Now, if not, the way the offsides rule works is you can't be past the last defender. So if you were here and the ball breaks that plane, you're offsides. But you're still offsides here. They just won't call it till the ball passes the last defender. So if you're never offsides, if you're behind this line, if you're past that last defender, then you're off, and then you're offsides. But if the ball goes through, they'll call it. So that's offsides. All right. Let's do two more names. I'm going to say Yasmin. Since you're Yaz, I'm going to do situation. Look it up. Zoe, I'm going to do safety dance. All right. All right. So now we're going to talk about just in general before we move to the keeper. Before we move to the keeper, I want to talk about sort of passing and through balls. Okay. So when you guys, we work a lot on footwork, all right? And the footwork really is, and we'll go back over this in our practice. Footwork really is kind of a foundational piece. But a lot of times we're sitting here and we're stopping and we're playing with the ball, from a footwork perspective. Almost one of the simplest things that you can do is you can fake that way. Let's say you're a right-footed player, fake that way, outside foot touch to space here and outrun the person, and you're past them. Preferably when you outrun them, cut them off and then get the ball and then go to speed because it takes time for them to turn around and recover. So if you get past them like that, you don't have to do all this footwork to get here. So I wanted to mention that. And I'm going to give another name, Lexi Rock Lobster. Okay. So that little evasion drill or that little learning how to evade somebody is good. That's super simple. That's just an outside touch to space and running. Okay. I think sometimes we tend to get a little complicated with that. Okay. Now, mids. Okay. If the ball is on the field, or mids, defenders, everybody but the striker. So we have this offsides line, which looks crazy. Okay, so we have this offsides line. If the ball is down here, and let's say I have my striker here, and everybody else is down on this side of the field, okay? We're all down here because the ball's down here, and their defenders are up here. What I want you to do at that point is just kick a through ball, okay? Actually, you can kick a through ball if you see the player at any time. So when we say through ball, you're just trying to kick it to a spot here. And this is going to be a rule about passing in soccer, and it's an epiphany for every team. Okay? When you're passing, you don't have to pass directly to the player. Okay? Especially if this person's facing this way and this person's facing that way. You can make a quick judgment call on if I can kick it to space, like here, this person's going to get there faster. You can just kick it to the space and say their name, and they will run and get the ball and win the ball. And a lot of times, you need to kick them where you want them to go rather than kick it to where they are. Okay? So that's a big situation. So I'm going to give another song title. Lily, yours is close to me. Okay. Keepers. Again, keepers. Me. Keepers. Again, we've worked with you. Cannon's worked with you. I like a kind of an aggressive keeper. I like one who stands off the box. If it's a one-on-one type situation, okay, I'm good with you challenging the ball, or not necessarily out of the box, but if challenging the ball, narrowing their options, but you have to be crazy and fully commit. I mean, you have to jump on it. You either do that or you stay back. There's no getting caught in no man's land, right? So it's one or the other. So and if you do that kind of thing, you're as a keeper, you're also captain of the offense, or I mean of the defense. Okay, so you're captain of the defense. You need to be telling them where to be at all times. So if they can't see something, so you should be if you're challenging something and you have somebody outside. So if this is Elise and let's just say it's Izzy back here, and Elise goes to challenge a ball, you say, Izzy, cover, right? And so Izzy needs to be over here. Or if she's not, watching two girls, you need to tell them to watch two girls, right? So get this man, get that man. So we need to be more vocal, especially my keepers, Jackie, Elise, you guys. I want to hear you. I want to hear you guys talk and chatter and say it with confidence. Okay. So that is what I want from a keeper. Now, when you're a keeper, again, what I'd like you to do, if you're going to throw, I don't want you rolling it out here or rolling it out here. That was my only criticism of the keepers is just rolling it like that and having it too soft of a roll. Okay? I want you girls throwing that ball to the corners. And I want you girls to make sure that a strong player gets it, gets a hold of it and gets it across. Okay. If you think you got a boot, do that boot. I'm saying that. I can't remember if we can use the boot. I think we can. Um, but again, this direction hard in either side. Uh, and I'm going to give the last song title, and that's going to be L. Yours is Der Kommissar. Okay, that's hard. That's difficult to understand. So it's Der Kommissar. Okay. All right, girls. I'll see you girls on Monday. I'm probably going to try to do these screen sessions again as I see the games. Again, I'm going to be in the month of October. Um, I'm not going to be here. It's going to be Coach Silva, Coach David predominantly during the week, but I'll be there for the games for the month of October. Unfortunately, that's just the way my work is. But we'll try to do this and make it happen. So I hope you watch this. I hope nobody runs as a result, and we'll see you girls on Monday.